The name of Miami Marlins pitcher Jesus Luzardo continues to pop up among trade rumors involving the St. Louis Cardinals. Here's why I think it's a bad idea and probably not going to happen. This is Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on YouTube, looking for the visuals of the show. I know the audio version is cool, but if you want to see the video side of things, you can do that. Come on by YouTube, like, subscribe, comment, interact with us, and hit that notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting like we want them to. But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So we start things off with bad news. Rain, go away. Come again some other day. Well, bad news is the Cardinals and Royals game scheduled for tonight on Tuesday. What is this? July 9th has been postponed due to the weather and will instead be made up on Wednesday as part of a split doubleheader. Instead, the first game will be at 12:45 St. Louis time. Andre Palante will get the start in that one. As of right now, they have not announced who the game 2 starter is. TBA is what it's at right now for the Cardinals. So make sure you're following along on Twitter, X, and we'll get that information out to you as soon as it's made available. But I can tell you this. The Cardinals are now 48-42 and have secured an above 500 mark ahead of the All-Star break, which is no small feat considering where the team came from. So some kudos needs to go out and should go out to the players, to the coaching staff, as much as it pains you for all of you Ollie haters out there, and the front office, which pains people like me who have been unhappy with what John Mozeliak has done the last couple of years. But you got to give him some credit for not hitting the panic button and not freaking out like a lot of us were doing, myself included, in the month of May. The Kyle Gibson signing has worked out beautifully. It's been fantastic. Lance Lynn, outside of the last game, which was not very good, has been better than I thought he was going to be. I still think we could have done better, but he's been better than I thought he was going to be. The trade for Andrew Kittredge has been outstanding, obviously. Rule 5 pick Ryan Fernandez has been pure gold. How good has he been? Waiver pickup Michael Ciani at the end of last season has been incredible in center field. Recent draft picks like Nolan Gorman, Alec Burleson, Mason Wynn, they're flourishing. And I know I'm going to get the, Gorman sucks, these 2 streaky responses in the chat, and that's fine. That's fine. But 17 home runs leads all Major League Baseball second baseman. He's tops. All second basemen in the entire league. 17 home runs, tops. His 45 RBIs are third. Those are facts, and you cannot deny them. You'll take that, won't you? You'll take that with the streakiness and the strikeouts, right? All of those names that I just mentioned were all kind of question marks coming into the season. And yeah, the team has had disappointments as well. Steven Matz and Nootbaar, they can't stay healthy. Edmund was hurt. It's been gone the whole time. Supposed to play tonight. Goldie and Nato are having rough years. Jordan Walker's demotion was not expected. He was supposed to be a big part of what the offense was going to do. What the hell ever happened to Yachty coming to help out? There's been some other things that have gone on that haven't been great, but the good is outweighing the bad since Mother's Day. They're 19-11 in their last 30, 13-7 in their last 20. They're 7-3 in their past 10. It's a winning ball club. It is a winning ball club. You have to admit it at this point. You can come up with excuses of why they should have won more, but they're a winning ball club. They're a contending ball club for a playoff spot. Second wild card right now, just behind the Braves. Are they World Series contenders? Yeah, that's where the line is drawn, right? A good ball club, finding ways to win, but are they good enough to make a push in the playoffs like the Rangers and the Diamondbacks did last year, like the Phillies did the year before? I think most people would say no. And to push this team into the type of conversation, you'd have to go out and land what most people would consider a top-tier starter for your rotation. That would be a huge difference maker. There's not a lot of wiggle room on the offense for a major bat to come in and take over a spot. They've got a lot of guys who just have to be better, is really what it is. Looking at you, Goldie and Nato. Despite some recent struggles, I think fans are pretty comfortable with Sonny Gray and Kyle Gibson as starters in a postseason series. After that, I don't think there's a lot of trust. Michaelis, Lynn, Palante, and you don't know if you're ever going to get anything from Steven Matz at this point. With all those righties already in the fold, the left-handed starter makes a ton of sense. And the Miami Marlins have a few guys that the Cardinals would likely be interested in. And the name that seems to dominate the conversation is Jesus Luzardo. Now, reports came out today that the Marlins are not looking to move anyone and everyone from the roster. They're not blowing the whole thing up. They are floating Jazz Chisholm's name out there as somebody who is available, obviously for the right price. They've also stated that there are multiple bullpen guys that are available. So Miami is open for business, folks, and the Cardinals will certainly be a team that will be putting a call into their front office. One of the guys that many teams have interest in and reportedly still do, despite dealing with an injury, is Jesus Luzardo. He's got a lumbar stress reaction injury that's going to keep him out until the middle of August. Now, for me personally, that removes him from the conversation altogether for the Cardinals. The last thing the Cardinals need to do is import more back injuries into their system. We've got enough of them to go around already. I don't need another guy coming in with back injuries to make things even worse. And frankly, I'm just not interested in guys who are hurt. I don't feel like the Cardinals have enough depth at this point anyway to make an investment like that to be like, all right, well, hopefully he comes back at the end of August and is good. No, I need help now. Give me somebody who can throw for me now. Other teams feel that Luzardo would still help them down the stretch when he returns, and he very well could. But for the Cardinals, I think that's a deal breaker. Now, when healthy, Luzardo is a guy that every team in the league would like to have on their roster. And apparently teams are still calling about him despite his numbers being way down and the injury. For just to put it out there, like the numbers that he had last year, 10-10, 3.58 ERA and 32 starts. ERA top 10 in the NL, top 20 in Major League Baseball. He had 208 strikeouts last year and 178 and two-thirds innings. The strikeouts were sixth most in the NL, top 15 in Major League Baseball. ERA plus of 130, 25 years old last year. Seemed like a budding superstar, the guy that the Oakland A's thought they had, and it just never really panned out for them while he was in Oakland. This year has been a complete 180, 3-6, ERA of 5. The strikeout rate has dipped from 28.1 to 21.2. Strikeouts per 9 have dropped from 10.5 to 7.8 per 9. His ground ball percentage, it's down. The fly ball percentage is up. ERA plus down to 88. League average, remember, is 100. Velocity is down across the board by a couple of miles per hour. So being on the injured list right now, to go along with the way he was trending, none of that makes me want to go get involved in a trade with him. I don't really feel like discussing that, especially when you look around and you see what the haul might be to get him on your team, to take him out of Miami, because of the control years that he still has, because of his age and how good he was last year. I saw an article that said it would take a package of Victor Scott, Tekoa Roby, Zach Showalter, and Chinwei Lin just to get the Marlins on the horn and get conversation going. No, thanks. No, I'm good. I'll do something else. I'll find somebody else. Craig Mish at the Miami Herald also reported that the Marlins don't appear to want to move him now anyway until he's fully healthy, because obviously his value is down right now. Not having a good year and injured. Yeah. You don't want to trade him now. You want to trade him when he's healthy and looks good again. So it makes sense for the Marlins to pull him back off of the trade, trade wire or whatever you want to call it, their trade hub, trade market, whatever it is. it makes sense for them not to do it. Makes a lot of sense for the Cardinals to not even worry about it, but doesn't mean you can't talk to the Marlins about some other guys, So who can help the Cardinals now? We're going to look at some guys on the Marlins roster and see if we can find some pieces that might just look good in a Cardinal uniform. We'll do that next on Locked On Cardinals. I love sports. I love them so much that I never want them to stop. People ask me all the time. They're like, you see this, you watch this TV show, you watch this series on, one of the subscriber channels. And I'm like, no, I watch sports all the time, constantly, baseball, movies about sports. Like that's just who I am. But now that the NHL is done, while the NBA is done, sports aren't sporting like I want them to, and FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. It scratches that itch for me. All I got to do is open up the app and just dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is going to be hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily, every single day. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. So head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. Sadly, we have no Cardinal baseball tonight to bet on. You can't bet on what Andre Palante might do or what Michael Wacha was going to do for the Kansas City Royals. We don't have that tonight, but a lot of other games throughout Major League Baseball that you can go into and check out and put some bets down. Thanks to FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn them down with all the shouting going on? And you're just like, my ears, they're bleeding. Well, then make the switch to Locked On Sports today, where we understand you. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories, and we do it without all of the screaming. Locked On Sports today brings you can't miss analysis. You get opinions, you get news, and it's streaming 24/7 to fit your schedule on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Remember, you can catch every pitch of the Cardinals hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. Whenever the rain stops, you'll be able to do that. And thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on Twitter X anytime you want. Your feedback always welcome and encouraged. So we're talking about the Miami Marlins. We're talking about some pieces that they have that we want on the Cardinals to make them better contenders moving forward. Hopefully at some point, World Series contenders. And when I look at the rotation and the roster, I'll be honest with you, I really don't see much of a fit for a deal for any of their starters this year. The injuries to the rotation are ridiculous. I mean, look at these names. For Sandy Alcantara, obviously, out for the year. Jesus Luzardo, currently out with the back issue. Yuri Perez, out for the year. Ryan Weathers, Sixto Sanchez, Braxton Garrett. That's a lot of talent on the injury list there for the Miami Marlins, and those are all starters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Imagine the Cardinals losing 6 starters. What would happen to your team? You'd look like the Marlins. You wouldn't be all that good. Now, in the bullpen, the Marlins got some guys that are obviously pieces that you would want. Headlined by their all-star closer, Tanner Scott, who is having a fantastic year this year, just like he did last year. 6-5 this year. He's got a 1.42 ERA in 37 appearances, 42 strikeouts in 38 innings, hasn't given up a run since June 13th. Cardinal fans, you remember him in the series against the Marlins, that grueling series that just exhausted everybody. He threw in all 3 games. Allowed 1 hit, 1 walk, no runs. He struck out 3 in 3 innings of work. Came in every game. Was like, yeah, I'm good. MLB percentile rankings. Apologize to my audio listeners because you can't see this, but I'm going to put it up on the YouTube. Once again, red is good. Look at all that red. It's like lava all over his page right now. Look at it. Hard hit percentage. Expected batting average, average exit velocity against, fastball velo, whiff percentage, all of those categories. Tanner Scott is in the 90th percentile or higher. And then he's in the 80th percentile or higher in expected ERA, K percentage, and ground ball percentage. The dude has been a machine this year and last year. And that's pretty impressive considering the dude throws 2 pitches. He throws a fastball and a slider. That's it. That's all you get. Fastball and slider. And yet he dominates. He looks fantastic. The hard part about Tanner Scott is that there are going to be a lot of people going after him, right? He's going to be a guy that a lot of people will be chasing. And I'm talking about big boys, Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers. Dodgers could get involved in that, like Baltimore. They're all going to be chasing this guy. So where else can we find? Because, you know how the Cardinals are. They don't really get into those kind of bidding wars with anybody else. Other names that could be moved for bullpen help. They've got another left-hander, Andrew Nardi. Outstanding MLB percentile rankings as well. ERA 4.72, but expected ERA 2.73, way better. The chase percentage in the 92nd percentile, whiff and K percentage 81st and 88th percentile. He's only 25. He's under control for 4 more years, which obviously makes me think, why would the Marlins even trade this guy? So if they do decide to move him, he's not going to be cheap because of all of these reasons, but he'd be somebody that I think the Fish would just hang on to, and he could be the closer in waiting when Tanner Scott is dealt, which is going to happen because he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year and sign with whoever he wants. You've got Calvin Fauché, Declan Cronin, also some names that have been mentioned, so keep those in the back of your mind when it comes to guys that the Marlins might be trading. Both of them are righties. Fauché is a better strikeout guy, while Cronin is that ground ball getter, which comes in handy in those sticky situations. So those are a couple of names that, the Cardinals and Marlins might be discussing even as we speak, now that the rain has washed out tonight's game. Maybe Mo's on the phone with them right now talking about it. Who knows? But if they're going to do business, that's a couple of the names that I think that might be more likely to be moved between the two teams instead of Jesus Luzardo. So I wouldn't expect that. Injuries have really taken the fun out of any trade discussions with the Marlins this year, because you would love to get your hands on one of those left-handed starters like Luzardo or Garrett or Weathers. These would be guys that I think the Cardinals would have been interested in, but you're hurt. Can't really help us, can you? So we'll see. Again, I expect the club with better trade options to end up outbidding the Cardinals for Tanner Scott's services, because he's going to be a hot commodity. But those other guys might be some dudes we'll be interested in. The team the Cardinals just faced might also have some names that we should be keeping an eye on. We're going to talk about the Washington Nationals, who have a group of guys, including a former Cardinal, that apparently will be up for grabs. We'll talk about it next on Locked On Cardinals. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way for you to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, at PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. You're not going up against some guy who just stares at the numbers all day and is in his basement just sweating and writing stuff out and is writing in code, and guys that are just beyond our brain capacity. Okay, at least mine. I shouldn't speak for you, but it's just you against the numbers, not against anybody else. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch your winnings roll in. You can get in on the daily action with your friends and become a member of the PrizePicks community. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. That's good, by the way. That's good. When you can turn, a value meal into dinner at your favorite restaurants times 3, what could you do with $1,000 right now? So much. Take a vacation, right? Do a ton with it. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has you covered there. They lower select player stats projections on Tuesdays, which is today, to help your lineup hit, or you can get your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. So PrizePicks is available now in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. So do yourself a solid. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Here on Locked On Cardinals, we pride ourselves in getting you the latest news for your team, whether We're in the off season, which doesn't feel like there's ever an off season anymore. We got the draft coming up, spring training. Obviously, we're all over that. Hopefully, fingers crossed, playoffs. It's year round. And you know what else is year round? Collection season. Just because tax season has ended doesn't mean the IRS just goes to bed and wakes up next year. They're going to keep coming after you for unfiled taxes. They can garnish your wages. They can levy your bank accounts and even seize your property. Don't let scary things like that happen to you. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A-plus rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Why not have them work for you? Whether you owe taxes, whether you've got complicated matters that require tax planning like myself, who's got so many jobs I can't even keep up with them, or you finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, just call 1-800-549-1000, or you can also visit them online at tnusa.com/locked-on. And be sure to mention Locked On Cardinals at checkout. You'll receive a $250 discount off their services. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's now also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. It's here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which cover every league. You can find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So the Cardinals took 3 of 4 in Washington, and they might have put the nail in the coffin, as they say. They might have written the RIP on the tombstone of the Washington Nationals season, according to Ken Rosenthal and Katie Wu from The Athletic. You know Katie. You love Katie. You've seen her on the show. The Nats appear to have finally accepted their fate and will become sellers this year. Coming into the year, we didn't really know what exactly the Nationals were going to be. I think they were a better team than most people thought. They hung on for a lot longer than most people thought, but the Cardinals came in and were like, all right, we've had enough. Squash it. Let's go. Which is good news for the Cardinals, which means another team has dropped out of the race and is willing to sell arms where the Cardinals are trying to acquire stuff. So in the article that was a combined work with Rosenthal, Wu, and somebody else, I forget what his name is, but they wrote, in addition to entertaining trade offers for 2 players on expiring contracts, outfielder Jesse Winker and reliever Dylan Floro, Rizzo is open to moving others who have only 1 additional year of club control remaining. Outfielder Lane Thomas, former Cardinal, and relievers Kyle Finnegan and Hunter Harvey. Another potential free agent, righty Trevor Williams, is on the injured list with a right flexor muscle strain. For the Cardinals, when you see those names, you see Jesse Winker and his long neck. He's a Cardinal killer. What was the stat? Did you see that during the final game on Monday, where they were like the highest batting averages against the Cardinals in like the history of the team? And Jesse Winker was 5th, hitting .350. Like, he murders us. I just don't want him in our division anymore. Get him out of here. Go to the American League again. I don't want to see you here anymore. He's been on the Brewers, been on the Reds. Hopefully the Pirates and Cubs stay away from him. And the Cardinals don't need him, unfortunately, because he's a left-handed outfielder, and we got those coming out of our butts. So Winker makes little sense. Lane Thomas, on the other hand, makes sense, at least in my eyes, because the Cardinals need a right-handed hitting outfielder. And I know you got Jordan Walker, but Jordan Walker is somebody that you're not going to bring him up and have him sit on the bench. You're just not going to do it. You need somebody else who can handle not playing every single day, but still be productive. Lane Thomas could be that guy. I think somebody else will probably go after him and give him more playing time and make him an everyday starter. And it would also, it would just look silly, right? To end up trading for a guy that you discarded just a couple of years ago, or just like move along. And now you got to give up somebody to get him back. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. Pitching wise, though, I could see the Cardinals intrigued by all of those guys that were mentioned in the article, by Floro, Finnegan, Harvey, and Williams. Now, the Cardinals, you just saw Floro twice in the series, and you dinged him up pretty decently, actually. We hit him better than most teams do. 3 runs on 4 hits, but overall on the year, Dylan Floro has been very, very good. 3-2, 2.06 ERA. You like that? Kyle Finnegan, a pretty good closer. 23 saves, hard thrower, 2.17 ERA. Hunter Harvey. Hunter Harvey is a guy that I'm intrigued by. Hunter Harvey throws even harder than Kyle Finnegan, their closer. He averages about 98 miles per hour. He's got a strong chase, whip, and K percentage. He's got an ERA in the 4s. But his previous 2 years, he was in the 2s. So he could be a guy that maybe the shine isn't quite as bright on him right now. And he's a guy that maybe the Cardinals could sneak in and take away while everyone else is in love with, Kyle Finnegan or Floro. And then the Cardinals come in and get Hunter Harvey, which, by the way, look at him if you're watching on YouTube right now. He's got the flow. He's got the mustache. Cardinals don't have a lot of ugly dudes in their bullpen. Like, I feel like every team needs somebody who, and I'm not saying his face is ugly, but got a mean, ugly, long hair look to him, Cardinals don't have anything like that, really. And I feel like all the contenders have at least one of those. So maybe that's something they got to get. But I'm intrigued by Hunter Harvey. He interests me. Trevor Williams had a great year, or was having a great year. 5-0, had the ERA, 2.22 and 11 starts. He was well on his way to having an excellent season, but he's got a flexor strain. So again, I'm not really interested in a dude who's hurt. I don't need that. So I also saw that our buddy Josh Jacobs over at RedbirdRants.com, he liked a swap of Dylans. He proposed the trade of Dylan Carlson for Dylan Floro. And here's what he said about it. Could you imagine, because I know where he's going with this, could you imagine what would happen if the Cardinals traded Dylan Carlson to the Washington Nationals for a reliever? He says, part of me thinks it would be the most hilarious and fitting ending to the Carlson era that there could possibly be. While the other part of me knows I want to pull all of my hair out listening to people continue to pump the false narrative that Dylan Carlson was the reason the Cardinals did not land Juan Soto, which was the big rumor at the time, that the Cardinals didn't want to part with Dylan Carlson to get Juan Soto, and that's why the deal fell through. It's been debunked since then. It's not true, but people still bring it up that way. Josh continues, honestly, I love this deal, and I think it's the perfect blend of ironic and sensible that I could totally see it happening. While I have no idea what teams would actually want Carlson, what we do know is that Washington at least thought very highly of him back in 2022. Not highly enough to get a Soto deal done without throwing in Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, Teen Kentz, and a few other prospects. But it's clear they liked Carlson a lot. So if there was any team in baseball who may give you a nice bullpen piece in return for Carlson, you would think it would be the Washington Nationals. That's kind of the idea right now, is that you hope somebody is still feeling good about Dylan Carlson, still middle 20s, switch hitter, can play all three outfield positions. Not that long ago was considered a top prospect in the league, and that he can be somebody's reclamation project and swap a bullpen guy or a starter in exchange for Dylan Carlson, and Carlson becomes their starter for 3 years while whoever they traded away is either a free agent at the end of this season or next season. That's kind of where you're at, because, I mean, really, what are you expecting to get for Dylan Carlson at this point? Sitting under 200, has no home runs, 11 RBIs, is a backup outfielder for you now. On a team that, when Tommy Edman gets back, is going to have to make a decision on how many outfielders they got on their roster. So leave your thoughts on everything we've discussed here today in the comment section down below. You can also hit me up on Twitter X anytime you want. Would who, if any of these players, would you prefer to see the Cardinals go after out of the guys we've talked about with the Marlins and with the Nationals? Two teams that we know are out of it now and are going to trade some guys away. Which ones do you like? I love Tanner Scott, but so does the rest of the league. Kyle Finnegan is going to be somebody because of the saves and stuff. People are going to have him high on their list too. That's why I kind of like the Hunter Harvey move. That's somebody who interests me, who can get the swing and miss in high leverage situations. He can be the guy that Keenan Middleton was supposed to be. because that's who you're trying to replace here. And you're trying to take a little bit of the burden off of Andrew Kittredge and JoJo Romero. So if you can get a lefty that has similar abilities, then I don't mind that either. Although you've got Matthew Liberatore, you got John King, who have been very, very good. So there's not really a whole lot of room for another lefty, but you could use another righty. So Hunter Harvey, in my opinion, come on down. Bring your mustache and hair. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on Twitter X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Like, subscribe on YouTube and help our channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. Doubleheader on Wednesday. Who's ready for it? I'm excited. We'll talk about it all coming up on the next episode of Locked On Cardinals. Have a good one.